the world is human trafficking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's a bunch of signs to look for. But we also want to talk about it to show you those signs and how to protect yourselves and your children too. It's a major issue that's continuing to grow every single day.
It certainly is. And it's a lot more serious than a lot of people think that it is. In fact, human trafficking, I did some research on it, is the fastest growing crime in the United States. And so it doesn't seem to be decreasing, it seems to be increasing. And there are videos that you can watch. I want to share, if I may, just a story of a 14-year-old girl. You can find this online. Her name is Brittany, and she attended school every day. She had plenty of friends. But a guy that lived near her bus stop, he convinced her to spend some time with him. And before she knew it, he was selling her to other men. And they paid him to have sex with the child. And so she had become a victim of human trafficking. And again, this is the fastest growing crime in the United States. So this isn't something that I think it's something we should be talking about, in addition to all of the other things that are going on. I know we have so much, but this is so important because there are things, warning signs, for us to pay attention to. Um, and this is how it presents itself in two forms. First, sex trafficking and labor trafficking. So those are the two forms of human trafficking: sex trafficking and labor trafficking. Both of them involve force, fraud, or coercion and result in the exploitation of the most vulnerable people, which are children in our society. And so there is a video that you can watch called Best Basics, and it's a video for training. And we are telling people parents to watch this video, as well as employers, and to train your staff on what to look for. Did you have anything that you wanted to add to that, Bethany?
Well, just it's so easy to go about our normal life, well, the new normal life, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
every single day, going to the store and not thinking about it. But like I heard stories in Michigan of it just happening when you're running an errand or going to get groceries, and you park your car and you go to your car and you find something on the windshield wiper, and that's a distraction that human traffickers use to grab you. So like something so simple like that they have you trapped right then and there.
Also, I was looking online yesterday, and this was very interesting because at hotels, there were a couple of young ladies had taken a girls trip, and apparently the front desk clerk gave their room key to a guy or two, and somehow they were able to discover that they had been in their room. Somebody heard them that they had been in the room, and they had to call the police in and everything. And so again, these are things that we have to be very careful of. Young ladies, when you are out there taking girls trip, we watched the movie Taken. I just saw another movie called Runners the other day. I just saw that the other day, and it's talking about human trafficking. You got to be careful when you're going to parties, not to be alone. And maybe you're not doing that during this pandemic season that we're in. But even after this is over, as Bethany just said, going to the store and going back to the car. This is the one big thing that I think, some of us are very guilty of: holding our cell phones, looking at our cell phones while we're walking. That's pretty. I see so many young and old, but especially young people holding those cell phones down and not paying attention. A car could be backing out or anything, and they are not paying attention. And so it is just that easy for someone to, as the definition of human trafficking is often referred to as modern day slavery. According to the definitions used by Homeland Security, human trafficking involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. So, even the labor trafficking, it occurs most often when someone is forced or coerced into working for little to no money in a factory, domestic servitude, or manual labor type industry. So you have to have an awareness. Even if you live like we live in a safe community, but of course there's still crime, and you have to be alert. And parents, tell your teenagers, get off the phone when you come out the store or in the store. Wait until you get into a safe place, get in the car, lock the door, turn the engine on. And then if you need to text someone or call someone before you pull off, do that. But if by all means necessary, turn your phone, just don't be on the phone while you are going to and fro.
I always had my phone like near me, so that way, like if I need to call 911, it's like right in my hand. My
Mm-hmm.
dad, like he's a huge worrywart. Like he's always like, don't go to a store late at night. Don't do
Mm-hmm.
this. Don't do
Yes.
that. He's only a child, so of course he's gonna worry about me. But I always laugh. But it's on a laughing manner, like because I do need to take it more seriously. But I'm like you. I don't talk on the phone because when I went to college, that was like one of the first things they told us was like if you're walking alone at night, don't be on your phone because that's a lot of people are going to try and get you when you're distracted like that.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And they know, and they monitor you. Like with Brittany, who was 14. He was monitoring the fact that she went to that bus stop every day, and he waited. And so they are crafty. This is what they do. And remember, the key word here is that they force you, and before you know it, they have you performing sex acts. And of course, most of this is children. And so I was looking at the name of this group, because I did get the name of the group in case anybody want to go to their website, and they have videos and stuff on there that you can watch. It's called Guardian Group. That's what it's called. And they actually focus on sex trafficking. And it says the trade of anything of value for a sex act through the use, force, fraud, or coercion. And so, again, this is not consensual. This is the fact that there are people out here, and we know that there is a case right now where that the guy Weinstein, I believe his name is, but he committed suicide, they said, and but his girlfriend. And so there is a case right now, high profile case, where allegedly, these are some allegations against them. And so we want to be careful during this time. I know our children want to get out. They're tired of being in the house, not being able to be around their friends. So not only do we have to protect ourselves from the coronavirus, we also have to protect ourselves and our neighbors from human traffickers, that are out there trying to traffic children. I know this was really big too. There were a lot of reports when Hurricane Katrina through that particular area in Louisiana, and a lot of those children still have not been found or placed with their parents. And so, again, we're just trying to help people to stay connected to the stuff that's going on, around the world. And in a lot of cases, it could happen even in your neighborhood. And so there are things that we can look for. So did you have anything you kind of add to that?
No, I think you said it all pretty well.
Okay. I wanted to also say that when it comes down to sex trafficking, that, as we stated, it is one of the fastest growing crimes in the world. And the reason why it's such a rapid increase is because they can be sold for sex acts numerous times. So, again, this is just one of those heinous crimes. And it talks about the internet, where it has also allowed this crime to scale at an incredible pace. And remember, Bethany, we were talking about how long distance dating and people meeting people, over the internet, and that's one
Yeah.
way. So,
Yeah, because some people, how they start their relationship in a long distance
mm-hmm,
relationship, or they've never even met the other person, so you
right.
really don't know like who you're dating. I mean, unless you like FaceTime and if they are who they really say they are, because that is obviously possible. But then it's also possible that they're catfishing you or they are a human trafficker.
Yeah, that's true. And something that's really big that I want to talk to ladies, and I think I'm going to try, Lord willing, to do a conference call just on this with my mentorship program, Rock Your Wear. One of the things they had on here is because they're, ages, but it says, what is every 15-year-old girl looking for? Love, understanding, and acceptance. Couple that with low self esteem, and it creates a perfectly vulnerable target. So we've got to give that to our daughters so that they will understand that they do not need to get that from any other source. And that part, is on us as parents. Let's just make sure that our children understand that we love them, that we understand, we've been teenagers before, that they are accepted even with their flaws, and that they are beautiful people. They don't have to have low self esteem, and teach them about their purpose in life, because when they feel that way about themselves, statistics have shown that this is what creates them to be vulnerable targets. So, what do you think we can also do to prevent, the girls from going into, from being vulnerable? Because you are a very confident young lady who lives, of course, you're a lot older than 15, but I'm saying, what did your mom do, to help you as a young girl to know that you were loved, understood, and accepted?
My parents, like, we're all very close. I mean, they told me I could do whatever I wanted when I grew up. Like, the sky was the limit. And they told me just to set my mind to whatever I wanted. But they also loved me. They also gave me hugs. And they told me, I'm here for you if you need anything. So just things like that. Like, we're a very nurturing family. Like, I'm very much a family person. So I think having their love and support helped me a lot. So I mean, if I made a mistake, at least I had my family behind my back 100%,
Yeah.
which is a huge thing.
Yes, yes. Um, you know, most people think that this is just something that's happening, in other countries or across the border. But it has been reported in all 53 states, with 83% of their victims being U.S. citizens. In addition to that, it is estimated that the number of children who are at risk or have already been pulled into the sex trade, this is staggering, would fill 1,300 school buses. That's staggering. That is, oh my goodness. In addition to that, 44% of victims reported no one reached out and offered them help out of that life, with another 26% reporting rarely ever being offered help. So not only are these people victims, but just like what you just said, we are so busy that we aren't even looking to see if something is just wrong. And that is why they're saying it's time for us to educate our population and to be willing to say something when we see something that looks suspicious. So 99% of the buyers, of course, are, well, I shouldn't say of course, but male. Most of them are men. They come from all backgrounds, races, ages, and workforces. And it is not uncommon for them to be married and have children themselves. So, again, this is why we are bringing, talking about this today, because we realize that although it's a scary thing, it's something that we really do need to talk about. So, just one more point. It says, what does sex trafficking look like? Because I think we all want to know, how can I, if I do want to help, what does it look like?
Yeah.
So it says it has a multitude of ways. Every predator and victim have a unique story. The only common factor is that no one is immune. This crime affects those from every socioeconomic status, race, ethnicity, and background. A history of child abuse, foster care, or running away does increase the susceptibility of becoming a victim of sex trafficking. However, in that same vein, not all victims share this background. So, again, we see that children who have had some type of problem, with child abuse or foster care, they're just kind of running away, that it makes them, of course, more susceptible. But you could be just like the other little girl getting on your bus, and here's this friendly neighbor that you've been knowing, because they've moved into your community, and somehow they convince you at 14 to spend time with them. You know, I will say this: I walked all my children to the bus stop when they rode the bus to school. Um, I saw to them getting on the bus. They didn't ride in the car with anyone. If they missed the bus, I drove them to school. And of course, these numbers, I'm sure there was some human trafficking going on then. I was not aware of it. And but I still did what I needed to do to protect my children. You can't always be there. I understand that. But I also let them know that they were loved, understood and accepted. And I try to discipline them as much as I possibly could to be, good people. I could not imagine what a mother or father, even siblings, would feel, to have their family member gone, disappeared, And so we have to be vigilant as a community and look out for one another because this is a dangerous crime and it is growing rapid. It's increasing day by day. And so we kind of have to police our communities.
Also, too, my dad, he always ingrained this into my brain, like in college when I'd go out to parties. He was like, make sure, like, if you leave your drink, don't go back for it.
There you go.
Always have, like, your hand over your drink because you never know if people are going to drug you behind your back. Like, I could never drink beer anyways because it upsets my stomach. So I always had, like, a mixed drink and, like, a water bottle with a cap over it, which I think helped me out a lot because you would have to physically, like, unscrew the top to pour something in there. So there's things like that. Like, one of my friends in Michigan, she actually got drugged at a bar, but she was with her friends, and her friends noticed she went from, like, 0 to 180 real quick, and they noticed something was not right. So luckily her friends were around and were able to take her home and make sure she made it home okay. Like, if her friends weren't there, we don't know what would have happened.
Yeah. We had my dad taught me the same exact thing. Like you, I was not a drinker. From time to time, maybe once or twice, I've actually taken a drink, and I found that it was not something that I wanted to do. It wasn't a desire of mine. And but I always had friends around. But my dad always said, never leave your drink, even if that was a Coke, whatever it was, never leave your drink. And then he would tell me, he said, find the exit, know where the entrance is and know where the exit is in case you have to leave out. My husband is really big on this part. This doesn't have anything to do with sex trafficking, I guess, but he never likes his back to sit to the door. His thing is, because if I see something coming in, I need to be able to protect you. I taught my children these same things. I never let them ride in the car with another child, another peer. I never let them do anything like that. I taught them these same, to me, I call them life skills, survival skills. And if they were to go anywhere, they had to go in groups, 5 or more. Even dating, And I told them, if you're going to date someone, everybody's got to go. We want other people around so that there will be some witnesses, in case something happens. Um, we needed phone numbers. I wanted to meet the parents. I always met the parents because I need to know, you know, where this child lived, the type of personality that their parents have. And I know sometimes people think that maybe that's overboard, but if your child ever went missing, I don't think it'll ever be too overboard. I don't think that, I would say it like this. I am sure any parent that's in that situation, number one, they start to blame themselves, and they start to think, what did I do? Because it's not just human trafficking. Let's look at it, say like a relationship, that they're in, and your child gets their heart broke or something like that. And you automatically, whenever your child is in a situation where they're vulnerable or something has happened, you always look to, did I do the right thing? Was I too strict, or was I not strict enough? We always go through that, those phases and those sequence of questions. But I say, just do all that you can do to protect them. And that is even training them. I'm going to be talking to my grandchildren, although their mom doesn't let them out of her sight, but still they're going to get older. She's not going to be able to be there with them all the time. And I'm going to talk to my children about this, as well as my staff and even our church ministry, because these are things that we need to know. And just like you said earlier, sometimes we're just too busy to even notice, how many children, and I hate to think about it, but I would pray that I never came across a child that was in that position and I was too busy to look at the signs because I really didn't know. And I pray that that has never happened, and that they tried to reach out to me somehow, some way, and I didn't respond. And so the best way that we can protect not only our children is to get informed as what we're doing and educating ourselves on, number one, it is real. We're not in denial that it is happening. And anybody that was anti-slavery, anybody that was against slavery would be against this, and do our best again to be vigilant in our communities. School, if school is getting ready to start back up, even if you don't have young children, and you see children out there on the bus stop by themselves early in the morning and it's dark, maybe we should just sit there for a while and make sure that they get on the bus safe. Anything that we can do to try to help protect our community, I think we should try.
Yeah, my neighbors, they always watched me when I would walk to the bus stop and I'd walk back just to make sure I was safe.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mom, we lived right by the bus stop, so my mom would always watch me get on the bus. But then at night, or in the afternoon, my dad, he would work during the afternoon, so luckily my neighbors were there. So if I did need something, they weren't too far away. So I always felt protected and safe.
Yeah. So when I was a teenager, let me see. I always walked to school because we didn't have public, transportation, where school buses. And so when I was a young child, I always walked to school, but I had my brother to walk to school with me. And we also went to high school together, but he had what they call vocational school. So he had that the later part, half of the day. He went in the evening. And so this one particular day, I was walking home from school, and it was the winter time, and I had to go across a park, and this guy was following me, and I was so scared. I was walking as fast as I possibly could. And then this actually happened to me twice. It happened to my brother and I when we were little children at about, I think he may have been second grade, third grade, and I was in first. And we saw my oldest brother, and we were able to call out to him, and the guy ran. And then it happened to me when I was in high school. I think I was probably ninth or 10th grade. And when I got to the concrete, the sidewalk, I was able to run. And I ran to where some people was. And so I looked around, and he had disappeared. But I ran all the way home. And so what I did was, because my parents worked, and so they couldn't pick me up from school. But instead of walking down through the park and down the side streets, I walked down the main street where it was busy traffic and there were more students who walked home, walking that route. And then I tried to find other students that lived. It just so happened that my home was in between two high schools, and I chose to go to the one opposed to the other because there was no way I could have walked to it. So although the one I went to was far, it was still closer than the other one. And so every time I could, I would try and find someone that could walk at least most of the way home with me. And then my mother, when she would get off work early, she would pick me up from school. But that is what made me really make sure that I always watch my children. I always took them to school and not allow them to walk, or I made sure somebody was there to pick them up, because that was frightening, to me. And I just
Yeah.
never ever, you were getting ready to say something.
No, I just said that's so scary that happened.
Oh yes.
Good thing nothing happened.
It was terrifying. And I didn't even know what I would have done. Because, in Michigan, you're running, you got snow, boots, heavy coat, backpack, and I'm running with everything. But one thing I will say, I've always had, my mother was a praying woman, and she brought us up, to pray. And so I knew how to call on Jesus. I knew how to pray and be like, Lord, help me, and I was crying, but I was running. I was really, really, afraid. And so I'm just thankful that in either case, they didn't catch us, and nothing happened to us. But that is, again, why we have to be vigilant, and we have to protect our children. One thing about me, even with the girls, the Cherish and Chloe. So, I have my office and my coaching business. Well, if I can't, this is the decision that I had to make. If I cannot responsibly take care of them, and there was one that I had to choose, I would choose them. I would not choose my coaching business over them, because I believe in being responsible. And what's the greatest way to coach a life than to coach these little girls, to make sure that they have a chance at having a successful future. And so thankfully, and in a way I kind of feel bad about saying this because so many people have suffered in this pandemic, but thankfully, because this happened, I didn't have to make the choice. I was able to work from home, and my clientele actually increased instead of decreasing. And so, because that was a concern, I didn't want to neglect my responsibility in mothering them and choose, business over that. And sometimes that's a hard decision, of course, to make. And single moms is difficult. So they can't be there all the time to put their children on the bus, So I'm grateful that I have a husband who provides for us. So it wasn't that big of a deal in a sense for me, although it's a passion of mine. But every day, families have to face these types of decisions, especially during this pandemic, that they have to leave their children home and go to work, unattended a lot of times. So we need more community, people in the community to look out for these types of, predators that try to take advantage of our children.